Now we cross a threshold from sacred architecture to sacred symbol, from Glastonbury to the wider mystery of the Celtic cross. This iconic form bridges early Christianity and the pre-Christian wisdom of the cult. Its proportions, spirals, and the meeting of circle and cross all speak sacred geometry. This is not just a religious emblem, this is a map of the ether, a diagram of how light, form, and earth energies flow together. So let's look more closely at how this symbol preserves an ancient understanding, carved in stone yet still alive. Now we move into a subtle realm, the memory of geometry in stone slabs, symbols, and earth energies. The Dunblane cross slab, 9th century, four corner circles like conductors, balancing elemental forces. The serpents carved along the cross line, not a decoration, but earth energy. And at the top of the arms, we can see spirals. So what will it represent? Will it represent the ether, the fifth element? This suggests the curls and picks grabs energy flow through what we will now call elemental vortices. And on the reverse, a five-circle pattern echoing the zodiac layout of St. Mary's Chapel. A clear sign they were working with esoteric geometric knowledge. Now we look at the rose marking stone. On its reverse, small circles in each corner of a square. Not random, placeholders for zodiac sign. These mirror the sacred celestial geometry we've seen in Glastonbury. One aligned with the rose pattern and the Lamb of God, St. Mary's Chapel, this Celtic slab becomes more than memory. It becomes a resonant link between Christian symbolism and precise geometry. Coming back to Dunblane's slab cross, the larger circle becomes the light circle, a scaled water church circle reduced by 1 over square root of 2. That scaling gives us 18.67 feet, invoking the number 186, not only the harmonic of light speed, but in Hebrew the geometry of Makom, which means place, the place of divine presence. This is the place of illumination where light meets geometry. The sacred geometry of the Celtic cross. So the central and surrounding circles are not random. They follow very precise ratios, and it involves the square root of 2 for all of these ratios. That layering creates harmony, a geometry that feels balanced and alive. The whole design links the octagon with the smaller tangential circle. Step by step, each proportion building on the last, until the whole pattern locks together as one system. And from those proportions, the solar wheel appears. Two concentric circles, the outer one, the yellow, holding the octagon, and the inner one holding the four tangential small circles. Everything nested, everything in place. And why do I call it the solar wheel? Because the red circle, the double diameter of these red circles, it's 3.665, which reflects the number of days of solar days in a year. We now return to the rose pattern, rooted in sacred geometry and the Christian mystical tradition. Here, early Christian symbols live within older geometry, using natural square root of 2 ratios to unify Celts, Picts, and Glastonbury. This is one of the key designs because it shows exactly how the geometry of the Celtic cross fits perfectly within the Whitehall church circle and within the square foundation. So here we have unification between the rose pattern, the Whitehall church circles, and the Celtic cross, all in one unified design. We now arrive at the final gate, Rosslyn Chapel, a living vault of sacred geometry where Glastonbury, the New Jerusalem, and the Grail mystery converge into form. This is not just a building, it's a resonant temple, encoding the same divine pattern we've traced since Genesis. A shared geometry links Rosslyn and St. Mary's Chapel of Glastonbury Abbey, anchored in a Sumerian cubit of 1.65 feet. Roslyn's interior divides into 28 cells of 9.9 feet, which is 6 cubits, and it mirrors again the 28 Hebrew letters in the first verse of Genesis. So as you can see, we have 28 cells or sectors, squares, on the floor plan of Rosslyn Chapel. So it's a temple of number, proportion, and purpose, scaled by a 1.66 ratio. So it's the measure 6 in music. The Temple of Solomon is 99 feet by 33 feet, and its height is 49.5 feet. Now, if you divide these measurements by a ratio of 5 to 3, which is 1.6666, it comes to a measurement of 59.4 feet by 19.8 feet by 29.7 feet. So remember those measurements as we will be discussing about those on the next slide. So as we know, St. Mary's Chapel measures 59.4 feet, the same length used to scale down Solomon's temple in Roslyn's design. The temple's height was 49.5 feet, scaled down 29.7 feet, exactly twice the height of the Lady Chapel at Rosslyn. So this is the floor plan of the Temple of Solomon here, and for the height we have a height of 29.7 feet, which is the double height of the Lady Chapel. The Lady Chapel is unfortunately hidden behind my camera displayed on the slide, but it's exactly double height of the Lady Chapel. So modern laser scans confirm these dimensions. As if the builders followed a cosmic ratio, embedding elevation codes in every stone. So at the center of Roslyn's ceiling, there is a pendant keystone, aligning perfectly with Wattleshire circle at Glastonbury. Not just architecture, a symbolic alignment. Heaven and earth join at the rose pattern center, right where Solomon's temple layout intersect. The St. Clair shield, the cross, the New Jerusalem diagram all converge here in one sacred anchor point. Added to this unified design is the Genesis triangle. The 73rd triangular number holds the temple's key. So the Genesis triangles, its height mirrors Solomon's temple length. Overlay it on Rosslyn and St. Mary's Chapel, you see a template, a design followed for generations. The triangle's central positions, the center point, the exact center point of the Genesis triangle, which is 685, encoding the full geometry of Lord Jesus Christ. It is at the center of the unified design. It is at the center of the rose pattern. It is at the center of the zodiac. It's aligned to the keystone pendant keystones of Rosslyn Chapel on the ceiling. So we are witnessing a unified design encoded since the dawn of humanity for generations. Now we raise this triangle by 9.9 feet. So that means if we raise the Genesis triangles by one section among the 28 sections of the floor plans of Rosslyn Chapel, its apex meets the eastern wall, the direction of the rising sun, resurrection, light reborn. But something else happens. The center of the 13 star number, the 13 star number, again the number 13 following us, is highlighted and enclosed inside the Genesis triangle. So this number has long tied to sacred transformation, okay? And it lands in the heart of the zodiacal rose pattern. So the center of this star is at the exact position of the keystone, the rose pattern, the zodiac, the Wattleshire circle. So all is unified here. This is the lamp's sacred center, the still point in the turning circle. And deeper still, the triangle center of gravity is 1201. So originally it was at the position 685. Then, because we shifted the triangle, we raised it by 9.9 feet up. Then the center shifted to 1201, which is the center of gravity of the Genesis triangle, where Adam and Eve and Yahweh are encoded in these particular positions, particular counter the center of gravity of the triangle. And it's also Emmanuel, God with us. He fulfills a prophecy. So geometry becomes theology, architecture becomes prophecy, and we, humanity, are not outside the design, we are written within it. So we've spiraled through alphabets, temples, numbers, and stars, but ultimately this is not a story about geometry, is a story about remembrance. The same patterns we found in Genesis, in Glastonbury, in Rosslyn, they are not just ancient echoes, they are invitations. Invitations to remember the sacred in space, in time, and in yourself. Because the real temple is not only made of stone, it's made of soul. Each of us carries the resonance, the divine proportion within, and maybe what we call prophecy is not about predicting the future. Maybe it's about awakening to the design that is already written in us. From Aleph to Light, from Stonehenge to Rosslyn, from Adam to Emmanuel, the code is not lost. The pattern remembers you. So I leave you with a question, not what is the blueprint, but how will you walk it? Thanks for listening and see you next time. Bye.